Hello, my name is Nicholas Whyte and I'm the Senior Director for Global Solutions in APCO's Brussels office, and I'm here to tell you three things about the Brexit notification. The first is that this is the beginning of a process that is going to take a lot longer than 2 years. It will take 2 years for the UK to negotiate its institutional disentanglement from the European Union, but it's going to take a lot longer than that for the eventual trade negotiations to reach an agreement. The problem there is that all 27 EU member states and the European Commission and the European Parliament and a lot of subnational governments all have to have their say, and some of them even have veto powers. Think about the way that Wallonia, a French-speaking part of Belgium, managed to hold up the ratification of the trade agreement with Canada. On top of that, the actual cost of the divorce has not yet been finalised. Indeed, the basis for calculating it has not yet been agreed. This is a process that is going to run and run. The second thing to say is that both sides seem to be moving to reassure migrants. It seems that Theresa May's letter to the EU says something about the EU citizens living in the UK, and it seems likely that Donald Tusk's response on behalf of the EU will make some similar assurance about British citizens who live in the EU 27. This is not a moment too soon. There's been some very unfortunate language used about bargaining chips. There's been a very regrettable rise in hate crime since the referendum result last June. I'm glad to say that APCO has been assisting the Polish embassy in its Better Than That campaign against hate crime in the UK after the referendum result. This is still not completely reassuring to some of us who are covering our bases as best we can. I myself have now got both Belgian and Irish citizenship, and I'm planning to keep both of those in the coming months and years. The third thing to say is that the relations between the component parts of the UK are now under strain as they never have been before. In Scotland, which voted by a fairly large margin to stay in the EU, the British government now has the task of negotiating them out, even though they voted to stay in. I'm not saying that this is going to lead to another independence referendum. I'm certainly not saying that it will lead to that independence referendum leading to a pro-independence vote. But I am saying that tensions between Scotland and England have been raised to an unprecedented level by the current negotiations. Even more so for my own native territory, Northern Ireland. In my lifetime, we have seen the Irish border wither away into insignificance as a practical day-to-day feature of our lives. Now we're going to see it returning, at least as a customs barrier, perhaps as something a bit harder, depending on how the negotiations work out. There are a lot of people in Northern Ireland who have invested a great deal in the peace process, in removing tensions and divisions between the two parts of the island, and it would be a very great shame if that work were to be wasted, and it is one of the factors that is causing the current impasse in the political process in Northern Ireland. On top of this, we have a British government that doesn't always seem terribly sensitive to the world outside conservative voting England. That government's challenge now is to keep the country together while taking the European Union apart.